This is not what we're used to hearing from Eli Tomac, a living legend in the sport, now one of the all-time greats. He hasn't won every Monster Energy Supercross race he's ever entered, but most of the time, when he doesn't win, it's not because he simply isn't fast enough. But Chase Sexton had the whole field covered by over a second in qualifying, and then waltzed right by Tomac in a heat race and pulled away to win. That's what we're used to seeing Tomac do to the competition, and it led to this startling omission from Eli when asked about his strategy heading into the main.
My goal was just to get out front and hopefully just be a pest out front. Because to be honest, I was like, I can't hang. After that heat race, and then I don't know, things just changed in the main.
So what changed? It looked like Sexton had the heat race speed again. Early in the race, Tomac was being attacked by everyone: Aaron Plessinger, Jason Anderson, and Sexton. Then Dylan Ferrandis crashed, suffering a concussion, and led to a staggered red flag restart. Anderson and Plessinger weren't quite as sharp after that, but Sexton was still charging hard. And with about 6.5 minutes left in the main, he had closed to the rear wheel of Tomac just like he had in the heat. And then it all went away.
Eli really figured out the sand section later in the race and was going outside. And I was going to the inside, which I felt like was not fast, but I wasn't super comfortable going around the outside. I almost fell there earlier in the race. So I was just sticking to the inside, and I felt like I could have walked through it faster than I was going through. But Eli really figured out the sand, and that was, I think, where I lost a lot of time every lap. I was trying, every time I get through the sand, I try to make up time throughout the rest of the track, and it just wasn't really working. So
earlier in the race, Sexton was using the outside of the sand, and he almost went down twice, was nearly repassed by Plessinger. He then switched to the inside, the safer route, but never found the speed that he had in the more dangerous route around the outside, which Tomac had figured out how to grease. And that was the whole theme. Tomac simply figured things out. In fact, after the heat, he didn't even ask for changes to his motorcycle. This was on him.
Yeah, no adjustments to the motorcycle. Just tried to be better, try to be better down the rhythm lanes. Really focused on not missing the triple quad. I missed that a ton in the heat race. I probably missed it more than I did jump it. So I had that in my head. They did happen to make it a little more forgiving in the main event, but it was still really steep, really technical. And that was it.
It's been a long quest for Sexton to figure out how to unseat Tomac, since Tomac continues to dig in and get better instead of aging or going into retirement like a lot of other riders at his level have done before. And it seems like each time Sexton figures out another level, so does Tomac. Up until 2023, you didn't routinely see Tomac hole-shotting races or figuring out a way to manage them from the front even if he didn't have the speed. If Sexton keeps expanding his toolbox, well, let's be honest, Tomac has done the same. Better starts, more mental strength, and the ability to think and get determined on the fly, even when under attack if he's not the fastest rider on the track. These are all relatively new skills Tomac has added. Sexton, meanwhile, is still trying to get experience. For example, the whoop section where he blew past people in the heat was different in the main.
Completely different. The main event, even the heat race, they were pretty not smooth, but they weren't super edgy. And then in the main event, they almost get like a rut in them and a really big ledge on top of them. And that's something I'm still working on. I definitely was okay in them, at least up until the 10-minute mark. And then I kind of lost a little bit of speed. But yeah, they're completely different. It's so hard to replicate that during the week, and especially all day. I mean, all day they never looked like they did just now. So something I'm still working on, and definitely felt like I'm in a better spot than I was last year. I feel like I can somewhat replicate throughout a main event through them. So that's positive. And like I said, we're still working on it and something that we can improve on.
There are two sides to this story. One, you could say Sexton again had the speed to win and didn't get it done. But on the other hand, he didn't lose because of a crash. He could have risked it in those whoops. He could have continued to try the outside in the sand and gone down. And in years past, that's the type of thing that would bite Sexton more than anything else. It was a hard lesson to learn, having the speed but not being able to tackle Tomac for the win. But he did finish second and keep the championship points close. Both riders constantly improving and learning. Sexton hoping that each lesson will be the final one he needs to learn to make this happen. In the meantime, the fans get to enjoy another close championship fight between the current star and the rider that's trying to figure out how to unseat him.